Alright guys, we are here. We are talking promotion tournament for the Rlcs. There's no fun in games in the promotion tournament like there is behind me with all these ball pits and plenty of Giblet toys. But we're going to start North America. We're going to do some predictions here. This is this Saturday and this Sunday. Same times as always, but two teams will advance to the Rlcs or stay in the Rlcs. And two teams will go down to the rival series. So, a very important weekend for RLCS Season 6 purposes. And we've seen it before. Well, we saw it this season that Envy, a team that was in this last season, they are now going to the World Championship. Could be the World Champions. Who knows? So, first major step to try and to get a piece of that World Championship title or that World Championship prize money as well. So, very important for prize money, for pride, for less, like, a lot less, like, nervousness, because instead of playing in the rival series where every series counts so much, you just have to beat 1/4 of the other teams to stay in the RLCS. And now it's not that easy, obviously, but maybe it's a little bit less stress. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what's going on. But let's get into it. First, we'll start with CLG and Allegiance. I believe this is the first game. I'm not sure exactly what the match order is, but it is a double elimination, best of 7. Basically, if you win 2 best of 7s, you're into the RLCS. If you lose 2 best of 7s before you win 2, you are down in the rival series. Pretty simple. That's all you really need to know. Now, let's get into it. First, CLG Allegiance. I do think that this game is going to be a rematch later, which we'll get into, but these two teams probably are the closest, in my opinion. Maybe Flag as well. Like, I don't think Out of Style has much of a chance here, but who knows? They may surprise. But first, before we start all that, CLG and Allegiance. I think this is actually a really good, like, match-up for CLG, possibly. I'm not really sure yet. We'll have to see how this Allegiance squad plays. But, like, all Allegiance wants to do, they always send everyone back to play defense. They don't try and control the midfield all that much after a counterattack. They actually give space to the other team and allow them to take shot after shot after shot. Now, in the rival series, this worked out. They were negative 67 shot differential versus the top 4, yet they still made it here. They were even negative, I think it was like 30-something, versus the entire field. So, it works in the rival series, but I also think that's because of the quality of shooters in the rival series is not that great compared to the RLCS. So I think once you give CLG time, now the question is, does CLG use that time effectively? Because CLG has not been a passing team all season. It's going to come down to, do they go for that extra pass to set up the better shot? Or will they have enough time for like a Dapper or a Timmy to pull off some of those 1v1 moves that they do here or there? Like Timmy's not as much 1v1, but he does pull off some clutch shots. And if they have space, will they have time to make quality shots? I believe CLG will have time to provide quality shots, and they will beat Allegiance here. They just have to worry about going back on defense and not getting counterattacked. I think CLG wins this, though. We're going to go... like, I think this one will be pretty close, but it could be... so, like, if Allegiance wins, I think it's going to be pretty close. If CLG wins, it depends what CLG we get, but it could possibly be a blowout. There's a good chance that happens if Allegiance is playing that passive and CLG takes advantage of it. It's going to be very difficult for Allegiance to change their playstyle, because that's how they've played this entire rival series. So I'm going to give it a 4-2. I think Allegiance will keep it close, but there is a potential here, I think, for CLG to blow them out, make a statement. So we're going to go CLG here with the victory. And next up, we got Out of Style and FlyQuest. Out of Style, worst defense in RLCS history. FlyQuest, one of the most aggressive teams there is in the rival series, and honestly, Prime Thunder putting up huge numbers. Wonder putting up some pretty good numbers, and their shooting percentage, one of the best in the league, if not the best. Like, I don't have the notes on me right now, but they might be the best. I'm not positive, but that's the main difference. They have AJ now in, and he has really turned this team around into like a consistent 3 moving forward. They all have trust. Like Prime Thunder was telling me that they just trust AJ so much, so they're allowed to do a little bit more wilder stuff. That's the one thing I'm afraid of as well. Like, AJ does move up as well on the offensive side, so they trust him to rotate in as well. The one thing I worry about with FlyQuest is they go for a lot of crazy plays that sometimes you really shouldn't go for. There's a lot of plays that I see Prime Thunder flying up for. I'm like, honestly, it was kind of pointless, and now it's putting you out of position. Now, that didn't get punished in the rival series. I don't think it gets punished here either, but it's not that bad. Like, I don't think it's to an extreme. It just depends how hyped up they are. If they get a little bit too hyped up, it could happen where they start going for a little bit too crazy of plays. But I think FlyQuest should have a field day with Out of Style because Out of Style's defense has been great. But Out of Style, they have a good offense. This could be a very high-scoring series, so watch out for that. But I think FlyQuest comes out with the victory here. And we'll go 4-1 here because I think FlyQuest is pretty damn good. So 4-1 there. Now let's go to the bottom, the first elimination game. Now, this game is important for two reasons. Say an RLCS team disbands, whoever wins this game, no matter what happens in that next round, they will get third place, and they will be the next team in. That almost happened to Allegiance because Out of Style almost disbanded before the season started. Like, Lachino was looking for different teams, and it didn't work out, so he went back to Out of Style. But it could have very likely happened. So, like, Allegiance is in a very similar spot to where they were in the last promotion tournament, and I think here probably the play style with Allegiance, where it's counterattack, will come in handy versus Out of Style, because Out of Style is going to push everyone forward like they've been doing all season, and if they don't score the goal, then Allegiance should easily be able to counterattack, and I think their defense can hold up against Out of Style, and I think Allegiance wins this series pretty easily as well. I'm going to go 4-1, and honestly, like, this isn't like a knock against Out of Style, but like, Out of Style, they came into this season where they lost their star player, then they picked up like a person that got kicked from the best rival series team last season, not in the promotion tournament, obviously, but Dignitas. So, like, it wasn't looking good for them this season. And honestly, I think it's going to start showing here that they were not necessarily better than some of these rival series teams. But they could surprise because their offense is pretty good. So they could score some goals against Allegiance and pick up that win. But I have them out in 4th place. Next game, CLG FlyQuest. Now, this is for the number 1 spot. It doesn't really matter who makes it out in the number 1 spot or not, but I think FlyQuest comes out here with the victory. I just think FlyQuest has been playing extremely well. I think all three have been super solid. Again, it's going to come down to how CLG is playing, because CLG finally showed up against Cloud9 in that week 5 matchup. But FlyQuest, they're the only newcomer to this promotion tournament too, so nerves could play a factor. They haven't been in this big of a spot before, but the beautiful thing about the rival series is every single week is a big spot, and they prevailed there pretty well. And they also played well last rival series. They went to Game 5 against Dignitas plus Out of Style. And if they would have won those two, then they would have been in the promotion tournament. So they were close. And now they've improved their roster as well. So I'm going to go FlyQuest here. I believe in them. I've been rooting for them all season. I predicted them to be number 1 for the rival series. I got that right. Sometimes I'm right. You know, broken clock is right twice a day. So I'm going to go 4-2 here. I'm going to go 4-2 for FlyQuest, and FlyQuest will move on. Oh, God, things are breaking. I'm sorry. Things are breaking. Here we go. Move it back up. So, FlyQuest, the number 1 team to make it out. Now, CLG versus Allegiance. It's the rematch, and I've talked about this last year. I'll talk about it here again. The one change I wish they did for promotion tournament is at least if there's a rematch, give a team a 1-game head start. Like, give CLG like a 1-0 start because they beat them earlier, and I think that'd be a good way to remedy the whole, like, hey, now if Allegiance wins 4-3, well, technically CLG beat them more times today, but they don't make it. Of course, it's not perfect, because that can still happen. Like, if CLG 4-0'd them, and then Allegiance wins 4-1, or even 4-3 or whatever, it would still be the same thing. But at least, like, give CLG 1 game win, or 1 game win, like, in the series to start would be a nice plus. But I have here CLG win this again, pretty much for the same reason for before. I think it is a good matchup for CLG, and they should be able to take their time and set up good scoring chances. So we'll go 4-3 because we want to have some fun, right? At the end of this, it'll probably break again. I don't know why. All right, there we go. Tournament's done, but there you go. So I have FlyQuest moving in through the uppers, and CLG returning once again. CLG won this last season, and this is where Dapper really showed up. He didn't show up all season, and then he showed up at promotion. Maybe the same thing will happen here, but I do have both those teams moving on. Next up, we got Europe's. Now I got to mess things up again. Here we go. Everything's fine. There we go. We're good. All right. First, one of the most hated names in all of esports, in my opinion, is Excel, just because of how they capitalize their goddamn name. Who capitalizes an L at the end of a name and not the E to start it? These, like, esports orgs, like, trying to be fancy or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But Excel versus Servette, I feel like this is probably a 3-4 matchup. Servette has been led by Mummy Snow, and Alex has been pretty good too. Skyline has been a little bit quieter, in my opinion, but Alex and Mummy Snow are a pretty solid combo. Mummy Snow is a really good player. The one thing that I've been seeing, now I don't know how truthful this is playtime. Excel, at least on their main accounts, has not been playing a lot of Rocket League. It looks like I'm not going to say they're giving up, because I don't know exactly what's going on. They might be using alt accounts or not, but it doesn't look promising to me. Servette, though, is coming in as definitely the underdog here. They're definitely the underdog of this entire thing. I talked to Mummy Snow, though. Their entire team is super hyped to just be in this, and they really want to prove why they're so good, why Mummy Snow is so good. He's always been a player that's been kind of like left in the shadows of other star players on his team. So, like, Ignite used to be on his team as well, so like, this one's probably my toughest one. It depends how much Excel's been playing. I think just because it seems like Excel is like, I don't know, they just don't seem into it as much. Like, it seems like their series, like, as they go further and further, they start playing worse usually. I'm going to give this to Servette. I think this is kind of an upset pick, in my opinion. But I do think Servette's hungry enough to take this win and maybe surprise a little bit. Now going on to Team Secret and Fnatic. This is what, round 4 at this point? I'm not even sure anymore. They've played so many times. First, Team Secret knocks a Fnatic down into the rival series in the play-ins of Season 4. Then Fnatic comes back and beats Team Secret to go promoted to the Rlcs, knocks them down. So I guess this is round 3, technically. But Team Secret, they have a new player on their team. So they have Tigray. And, oh man, I'm blanking for some reason. Flame, I'm sorry, Flame. Flame has been playing phenomenally. Like, every time I watch Flame play, like, if he has any space, watch out. And Tigray's been an excellent shooter for that team. Tylacto is getting really involved. He was the #1 player for assists, just setting up those two to score goals. Team Secret's offense is bananas. They are extremely good. The problem is, and the problem that they've always had in the RLCS, is their defense is mediocre. They did finish 3rd amongst all rival series teams at only 1.7 goals against per game, which is pretty good. But that's usually because they're controlling the pace of the game all of the time. When you play against RLCS teams, that's probably not going to happen, and you are going to get more shots on you. You have to make those saves. The problem is Team Secret's save percentage has only been 67%. Now, that was 5th best out of rival series teams. That would be 7th best out of European teams in the RLCS. And that was their problem last season. They would just leave wide open net after wide open net after wide open net. That all being said, I think they can fix that here. Like, I don't know if that was necessarily a byproduct of, like, hey, we just have so much offensive power that we could just control the ball, not worry as much about defense. I think they'll have to worry a little bit more about defense, and they will, and they'll have a better save percentage. And going against Fnatic, it's like Fnatic's one of those teams that I thought they might have a star player, like in Maestro, that could turn the tide of a series, but it really doesn't look that way anymore. It seems like all 3 have to be on point to play their team style game, and if one of them is off, the team style just breaks apart. Every other team, basically, like in the RLCS, has at least 1 or 2 players that can pop off at any time and turn one game around and turn the entire series around. But for Fnatic, it's kind of like they all have to play together as a unit to make this work. So I think Team Secret can win this. Their offense, I think, is good enough to score more goals than Fnatic, because their team style has still been kind of jarring. Like, Snasky's extremely confident going into this. Team Secret's really confident going into this. And they said that they fear, honestly, Excel, maybe more than Fnatic, just because Excel, just the mechanical ability on that team, they're a little bit more worried about, it seems like, which I would argue I'm surprised, but hey, you know, like, they're the ones playing them, so I will give Tylacto all the credit there, and he's going to say Excel might be the one that they're most afraid of. They are afraid of Fnatic as well. Like, if some team is playing at their best, then Fnatic is the best team out of these 4, but we haven't seen that in a really long time. So I'm going to go really close series here, but I'm going to give it to Team Secret. So Team Secret will move on. Then we got Excel versus Fnatic, a rematch of the RLCS, and we got the rival series at the top as well. We'll start down here with Excel and Fnatic. I just don't think Excel has it, and I think Fnatic will come out on top here. And after, like, Excel loses, like, if they lose to Servette, I think they might be pretty demoralized. Also, Fnatic will play back-to-back games. Back-to-back games help. It could help or hurt, I guess, because they might be demoralized as well, but they should be a little bit more warm. I'm going to go 4-1 for Fnatic here. Up top, Secret versus Servette. So Servette did beat Secret during the regular season of the rival series, but Team Secret has said, or at least Tylacto has told me, that it was a rough week for them. I believe it was Flame had like tonsillitis, so he couldn't even communicate. Tylacto had a major ear infection, couldn't hear out of his left ear. Could be all excuses, but I'm going to buy into it because I think Team Secret is the better team here. And I think they win this one comfortably, a 4-1. Like, I don't think they played amazing throughout their Rival Series run, but I think they will step up here and prove that they were the best Rival Series team and possibly the best team out of this group, but we'll see. Next up, we got Fnatic and Servette. But I think Fnatic, that team play should work well enough against Servette that they should be able to beat them. I think they're just a better team as a core. Unless Mummy Snow and Alex really pop off, then they have something to worry about. But I do think, as a team, Fnatic should be better than Servette. Like, I do think that the matchups at the start of this, Servette and Excel is the number 3 and 4, and Fnatic and Team Secret are 1-2. It could be vice versa, who knows? But I do think Fnatic is better than Servette, so I'm going to go 4-2 here. So that means we will have one team back from the championship series and one team moving up from the rival series on both sides. So one thing to note here for Europe, like, this could be the end of Marky Duda. This could be the last time we see him in the Rlcs, because once he drops down to the rival series, like, who knows what's going to happen down there. It's a very difficult bracket, or who knows, maybe he will just lose that drive to play. I honestly have no idea. So for Marky Duda fans, they obviously will be rooting for Excel because we want to see him in the Rlcs. Like, I want to see him in the Rlcs because he's great. But sometimes you just got to move over for the new blood coming in. Team Secret made a big roster move, and I honestly think that will help them a lot here. And Team Secret will be that number 1, Fnatic the number 2, and that's where we call it, guys. So on both sides, we have one newcomer, both the number 1 teams from the rival series, and then we have one championship series team coming back for NA's sake. That was the number 7 seed, CLG, and for Europe's sake, it's the number 8 seed from Fnatic. But that is what I got. What do you predict is going to happen? Put it in the comments below. Do it before Saturday and Sunday, because I'll know that you're like, oh yeah, I predicted this exactly right. Here's all the scores, and then I see it's posted on Monday. I don't think that's going to fly. But that'll do it for me. You can catch it on Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. If you don't know the time zone, Google it. Don't just ask on Twitter. It's a simple Google search. By the time you posted it on Twitter, you could have Google searched it and figured out the time zone on your own. It's the most annoying thing in the world. Anyway, on Sunday, it's at 3 p.m. No, I'm sorry, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So that's daylight time as well. But go check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. 5 matches, best of 7 for all the marbles. I'll be on desk all day, as always, so you can check me out there. That'll do it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Later.